Hello everyone, welcome to Live with Sirus Migration Education. I can't remember the number anymore. Anyway, my name's Isuru Yapa. I'm an Australian migration and education agent, and Ashani's here. She's also an Australian and New Zealand migration agent. So mainly we're going to be talking about few topics in employee nominated sector today, and also NIV, National Innovation Visa type, which was advanced by GTI. But before we start anything, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, it's a good opportunity for you to hit that subscribe button and the like button, so you'll get to know every time we come online for a live session. And also if you have any questions, don't wait till the end. Type your question on the comment box down below, so that way we can interact with you and answer your questions here and right here. Before we move on to any topics, we would like to thank you, these wonderful international students who started 2025, the first semester. There's been few. We captured some of them who came all the way to our office to start their journey. So we'll display some of these photos now. Mario, you want to move on to the next one? And yes. Among many who came through, we missed some of the photo sessions, but yeah, we will wish all the best to whoever came all the way from wherever they came from, all around the world. And good luck with your studies, and we invite all our students to be in touch. If you have any questions, don't wait till the end. Always come and get it clarified and action it straight away. Anyway,
what do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about the NIV visas. So get that out of the way. National Innovative Visa. It's been developed from GTI, Global Talent Independent Visa. Earlier, the inheritance goes all the way down to Distinguished Talent Visa. Anyway, the new shape is called NIV. One of the fastest way to get to permanent residency. The good thing about, or the most highlighted part, is there's no English, no age limits for this visa. How you can be qualified? You need to be one of the prominent people in the world with a worldwide international exposure in some of the target sectors that the department has introduced, and be nominated. So depending on who you get nominated by, not like the GTI time, you can be prioritized. So if you're a Nobel award winner or a major prominent person, you can be in priority 1 sector. And if you were to get invited by an Australian government agency, you can be in the priority 2 sector. Whereas if you get invited by another prominent person in the same target sector or the expertise, like all days, like in GTI, you'll be in the priority 3 sector. But the good thing is, once you get the invitation, you go through the visa. For the whole family, you get the permanent residency and all the benefits that comes with it. So you can come here and start working on developing Australian economy as a payback. So one of the major selecting criteria or criteria to be eligible is you have you pass the Australian high income threshold, which is this year $175,000, and be awarded, got some rewards behind you, internationally exposed. If you got some of these qualities, if you're in energy sector, medical sector, cybersecurity, IT, recycling, can you come up with some?
Yeah, so the sectors are still there, but I guess it's more into how prominent you are in your field, because you don't even need to belong to a sector as long as you're one of those top award winners or Olympic gold medalists, people like that. So yeah, it all comes to, I guess, how prominent you are and how talented you are and what kind of international exposure you have. So if you believe if you're one of them, best way to get Australian permanent residency would be through NIV.
There's no age sector, but if you're below 18 or above 60, 55, then you'll have to demonstrate good quality reasons why you're a good fit. I mean, you'd be surprised how good prominent people are below 18 these days. There's a lot of prominent people come out from the technology sectors who are very well qualified and done good innovation. So yeah. And one of the wonderful news about the NIV sector, if you're coming through that the priority 2, some of the states were still working on their invitation procedures. Luckily, we had the incoming days, some of the government agencies or the states are opening up the NIV application process for invitations or the nominations. So this is a good opportunity if you haven't started your application yet. So you want to talk about 482, the work visa, what it is?
Yeah, sure.
482, 494, 186.
The work visas. As you know, there are few work visas available to people who are interested in working in Australia, either temporary or moving towards a permanent residency. As you probably already know, the new occupation list came out somewhere in December, which gave us access to about 456 occupations in order for you to get either temporary visa for up to 4 years or permanent residency. So this list is called the CSOL, which has many occupations. Some occupations were unfortunately removed, but there were many other occupations added that gives you access to direct permanent residency as well, given that you fulfill all the eligibility criteria.
And I believe some of them got consolidated in the way they operate, right? Like if you were to come up with restaurant manager, there's a big thing going on that the occupation is being omitted. Yes, occupation's been omitted, but they can now come back in.
There is another ANSCO that talks about, I think it's hospitality, retail, and other managers.
Managers not
but
elsewhere
that's
classified.
Again, it's a bit. It's still in discussions if this occupation will actually fit a restaurant manager. For example, there is another occupation called retail manager, not elsewhere classified. But then as soon as you say not elsewhere classified, which means it cannot have an ANSCO, but restaurant manager does have, it is in the ANSCO list. So we can't really use the retail manager. So it's still in debates and in doubts, what occupation to use for this. As I said, when a new occupation list comes out, it's always going to be, people still trying to figure out, trying to work out. Nobody has still applied. We don't know the outcomes yet. So we are still going through that process. But still, for many, many people who did not have any permanent residency options directly, now they have that. So if you believe you are one of them, I think the best thing, especially right now, is to be in touch with a migration agent who's specialized in work visa as well, because it can be quite complicated navigating these lists and figuring out which is the best option for you. Whether do you want to go through a 482 and then move on to the permanent residency, or if you want to directly apply, or if you go for the regional visa. So many options, and if you don't get the right advice, it could mean you're probably either paying too much money or taking too longer to achieve your ultimate goal, which could
And
be
also for the
permanent
employers
residency.
as well. Employers need to structure their nomination strategy depending on what you really want to achieve out of them. If you're looking for a long-term commitment from an employee, or do you want to have less obligations for a long time or a short time? So it is always good to have a good consultation from a migration agent. As Ashani said, it's good to talk to someone in specialized in employer
who
nominated
does these
sector.
visas all the time. Yeah.
So there was, as Ashani said, there were so many changes got introduced in last few years, especially November last year. So the work experience requirement, the permanent residency pathway requirements came down from 3 years to 2 years if you go through TRT, and the employability, the employment requirements got changed, where the applicants can work for more than, like during that 2 years in the transition, they can work for more than one employer. So there are so many changes got introduced. So it's not the same. Even if you started on the 482, if you have something in your mind and you might be doubtful about what's going to be your pathway, you might be able to get your permanent residency sooner than expected or the plan. So if you have any requirements, or if you want to clarify or get some information cleared, please be in touch so we can support you through. Vinay Kumar, welcome back. Thank you for joining. Once you receive an invite while your single post submission of the documents during the process married. I'm pretty sure Vinay is talking about general skill migration 189, 190, 491. So I guess just to explain it to everyone else, I'm assuming that he's asking you're listing yourself as a single applicant for your general skill migration application, and after getting the invitation, you go ahead with your
What he wants to
getting
know,
married.
can you even add your partner once married while your application is in still process? It's a very, very interesting and good question. Technically, yes, we can do that. There is a process to follow to add your newly married partner into the application. We do it all the time. But then that comes with complications. Because if you claim points for being single when you lodge your nomination, and then now your visa is not being granted, it's still processing, and you add a partner, and if you can't claim the same amount of points, you can have issues with getting your visa granted.
Especially
So
if your point goes below 65.
that's right.
Otherwise, majority of the cases, your best option is for your partner to be added as a partner
Once your permanent
residency
residency
is granted.
Yes.
Otherwise, you got to go through checks and then get an acknowledgement from the state government as well.
Yeah. So not just 189, 190, any permanent visa, if you get married while the application is in process, you can add a subsequent entrance to your processing application. So
If you were claiming that 10 points though, you gotta, your normal points has to be about 65 when she comes, when the other dependent or the applicant comes through.
yeah.
And then if they can contribute another 10, then again it's going to be neutral. So
Chatu is asking, hi, can we apply caregiver visa?
very famous question, Chatul. Welcome to the session. Yes, it's a very vague question. Yes, you can apply for a caregiver visa as long as you have the eligibility, or you can satisfy the requirements for the eligibility.
From your side, as well as you need an employer. The only way to get this visa is to go through an employer. Komal is asking, hello sir, will 491 Pathway 1 New South Wales for chef will reopen in current financial year?
I actually doubt it'll open this financial year. I think they just closed it. So
yeah, but if you're a chef 491, which means you're probably in regional area working for a restaurant, there could be other options available to you as well. Quicker pathways to permanent residency. Akila is asking, hi madam and sir, I have question. Is there any visa delay for thank you for 482 visa. Thank you so much for asking this question, Akila. Yes, there are huge delays for subclass 482, even sponsorship process now. Sponsorship is the very first application from an employer. We used to normally get approvals within a couple of weeks, even 1 week, but now we are seeing delays of sponsorship, nomination and visa application. There are delays for visas that were lodged under the TSS short-term and long-term streams, as well as there are delays for TSS visas lodged in skill in demand streams as well. So major delays, yes, we understand. We get calls from clients every day, emails from clients and employers alike, but unfortunately we are also waiting.
Having said that, the accredited sponsors still getting the fast approval as usual.
Yeah.
But the normal sponsors, they're getting a delay at the moment, substantial delay compared to last few months.
Yeah. And Chatu is asking if you can help us find an employer for caregiver. I have been working as a caregiver.
Israel for 9 years, which
Yeah.
is very good. Chatu, I guess we don't have direct experience on this, but whatever we know is there's been so many applicants talking about caregiver. It might be quite challenging exercise to find an employer while overseas. Some clients find other ways to get to the employers and then show them how good you are, and that might open up ways. Otherwise, it's best to keep applying. We don't have a direct service that we can support, but if we find sponsorships or employers requesting us for any specific talents, normally we put them through our social media platforms and introduce each other.
Yeah. So Vinay's again asking a good question. Should your partner's occupation and education qualification be the same as yours, or can they belong to a different occupation and an education qualifications to get the 10 points? How to get the 10 points for the partner? 5 points for English.
Yeah, so compete in English.
And 5 points for having a skills assessment for an occupation from the same list that you nominated your occupation from.
So 5 points for competing is if you get IELTS 6 in each band or PTE 36 in each band. That's
50 in each.
Yeah,
band.
50 in each band. That's compete in English. So you get 5 points for the partner from there. And then you get another 5 points if you get a skills assessment for, as Ashani said, from the same category, which is same list. So accountant, like if accountant and engineer, you're in the same list, or chef and engineer, you're in the same list, but chef and restaurant manager is not in the same list, but restaurant manager and cook is in the same list. If you
not anymore. Oh well, it is
it
for
is,
skill
yes.
migration. Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
maybe be in touch with Vinay. We will make it easier for you. Just have to give us the information, and we will tell you how to do that.
You're welcome, Chatu.
Someone, Doji is
code.
asking, can you please explain what is the requirement for bricklayer for skill assessment? How long is JRP? 1 or 2 years, please clarify. JRP is always 1 year. So, but to go through the JRP process, you need to have studied in Australia. If you studied and work experience from offshore, then there is a different way for skill assessment. Skill assessment pathway will always depend on the occupation, where you completed your qualification, what visa you're currently holding if you're in Australia, and where you have the work experience. So even for the same occupation, for skill assessment, for 3 people could have 3 different pathways. So again, be in touch with the migration agent to then they can look at your qualification experience and where you are, what visa you're holding, and they can suggest you the best pathway. But if you're specifically talking about job ready program, which is JRP, that's only available for international students, which means you studied in Australia and going through the specialized process, only available for international students to get a skills assessment after 1 year of full-time work experience. Akila is saying thank you. Thank you, Akila. Chatu's asking, hi madam sir, how much caregiver IELTS score need to apply?
So caregivers got Dharma exemptions. So I think caregiver
I can't remember on top of my head, but I need to check if you're whether you're going through Dharma program or whether you're going through labour agreement. They have different English requirements, but it's a much lower English requirement than the normal one. I'm happy to check that and get back to you. You can send us an email or give us a call, and then we can provide you that further information. TNL's asking, when applying for 482, can I add my partner even if our marriage is not matured for 6 months? Yeah, for a subclass 482, there is no requirement to show that you have been married for some times. But if it's a marriage that's fairly new, immigration can come back and ask for relationship evidence to make sure that you have had a relationship and you've known each other for a while. But there is no such requirement for the marriage to be matured to a certain level before you can add a partner to the 482.
Bibin Nelson, I think you got a good question right there. You got a PhD with topic related to AI and IIB from Bombay, which is great. Congratulations. Is there any possibilities for National Innovative Visa? So National Innovation Visa, just like back in the days when the early stages of GTI, just having a PhD could be a reason for just having a PhD could be a reason for you to apply and to be qualified. It's no longer there. Your publication could matter, but also your ability to attract high income threshold in Australia, which is 175,000, which can be addressed in 2 different ways. Either you get paid 175,000 or above right now, or if you can demonstrate that you have the ability to get a job offer from an Australian employer for a high income threshold, that could be a different thing as well. And again, few more things matters. If you have any patents, what sort of publications, what sort of journals you publicated your publications in. So it all matters, people. So it's a very good question, but the answer is a bit wider. If you think you got really good background, I invite you to have a chat with us one-on-one, and then we can probably go through your whole background and understand the eligibility a little bit more clearer. You can talk to us through any of the phone numbers or email address down there. I think admin at sirus.com.au. It's down below. Oh, it's on the frame itself. So we can talk to you one-on-one and then just go through your background. Chatu, thank you again. TNL, thank you. Mindset Mastery, thank you.
TNL is also asking, how long does 482 visa process take, and do you help to find sponsors?
Look, it can take up to, depends. If it's an accredited employer, again, a couple of days. If it's an unaccredited employer, it can take up to about 6 to 8 months these days, right? For the all three process. Coming down to, can we find a sponsor? It depends on, as I said earlier, it depends on the occupation that you carry, and if at that time, if we have any employers who are in our client list is looking for someone, we can introduce you. That's not a drama.
Now, Bipin's saying, I have job in India with 33,000 Australian dollar, but how can I show that equivalent to 175k? I have publications in top journals and top conferences. Thank you.
That's very good. I recently have a similar experience from a professor from Bangladesh as well. What I suggested is, if you could go apply for some jobs in Australia and see if you can find a job or a job offer for a high income there, because I mean the reflection of Australian salary for the same occupation could be different in your home country. So I guess you might have a network of colleagues or professionals or fellow professors in different countries, or if you were to work in different like related subject matters, maybe the companies that you work with, maybe reach out and see if you can do it. And as I said, Dr. Bibin Wilson, that this is NIV is not the only option. You might have other options available as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Chintaka is asking, when applying for 160 RT, what is the PTA requirement for the main applicant and the dependent? Main applicant, it's 50 in each band, completed within the last 3 years. It's very important to keep these times in mind. So for the main applicant, English is valid for 3 years. For subsequent or the secondary applicant over 18, functional English, which is
32, 4.5.
Yes, 4.5 functional English, but completed in the last 12 months. And there is a second payment and waiver for dependents English if they don't want to complete English. But for main applicant, it is mandatory to have English. TNL is asking, how about changes for me to apply
charges
for me to apply for 482 with my partner?
It depends on the process and the complication. It can vary anywhere from somewhere around $6,000 for the whole process, but it can vary in a range. So if you were to be in touch, we can definitely look at your whole background and give you a proper answer on this.
Sure. And traffic jams, like your name. Did the introduction of the new skills in demand affect the processing times of the old TSS? I've applied mine on November 2nd and I'm still waiting. I think you will be waiting for a while. It's normal. We really can't tell whether it has anything to do with the introduction of the new SID. These delays happens from time to time, and then they will do something to rectify it and it will get faster, but it's a vicious circle. For some reason it is delayed and we are all waiting. Thanks, dear. May I know your location, please, and where and when I can meet you guys?
Our head office. Yes.
You tell.
You go.
It's fine.
Okay, our head office is in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. So if you come to Mario's typing it right now, 344 Queen Street, we'll be here. But we also have branch offices in 2 offices in Sri Lanka, and we've got one in PNG, opening one in Vietnam and South Korea. India, we've got representatives and processing team. We just have, I think, one office there. So
yeah. Okay, Sehini is asking, what are the requirements for applying family sponsored visa if my aunt is the only member left in the family in Sri Lanka?
Remaining relative?
Yes, we need to look into this. There is a visa called remaining relative, but we need to check if she is eligible for that. If so, to lodge it offshore sometimes may not be practical because of the extremely long waiting period. So it's smarter to do it onshore if possible, to bring her here on a different visa and apply onshore. That way she'll get a bridging visa. But for that, your mother has to be in Australia as well, which is your aunties or father, depending on how she is related to you.
So and also, as Ashani said, the remaining relative is can be quite tricky, because you got to look at the whole family tree and justify that there's no one else, even the married members' families couldn't be there. So yeah.
Ali is asking, I work from home in Brisbane. My company is Adelaide and other major city. No office in Queensland. What are my options for pathway to PR?
Ali, good question.
Definitely not Queensland 190 or 491.
Yeah, 190, 491. General skill migration can be a bit tricky because you're neither in South Australia nor in Queensland for that matter, because you don't match both the requirements, resident requirement and the work requirement. It's half and half. But there might be other like work visa, like 482 pathways or 186 pathway to permanent residency directly. If you're in Brisbane, why don't you come down? Sometimes we can have a chat and then
make an appointment first.
We can
we can check the options depending on what visa you are, and are you willing to relocate, or are they willing to open an office in Brisbane. There could be some options that we can talk about.
The gap, how many hours do we need to get sponsor visa in disability? Can it be total hours in a year, or how many total hours apply to sponsor visa in disability? So again, different labor agreements got different requirements.
Yes.
Some you don't even need any, right?
That's right. So again, it's a case by case, so we can't really tell you. I can tell you the normal requirement for any 482 visa, but disability, not all occupations are in the new subclass 482. So I think if I give you that, then it can be misleading. So why don't you get in touch with us based on your occupation and which stream that you're planning to apply for. We can tell you what is the requirement. But if you look at for 1 year work experience, I think it's about 1,960 hours a year.
14 to 52 minus something. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ali. Look forward to seeing you soon. And please do mention our online meeting when you come. Anything on YouTube, Mario, just before you go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, gosh, waiting for the
Traffic
482
jam.
visa can be
Maybe
very
change
stressful.
your jam. That'll get you universal attention towards you.
I
stress.
completely agree with you. Imagine tens of clients calling us to find out about their 482 and employers calling. It can be very, very stressful.
We have quite a few. You never call miserable clients. They're
I
good.
never said miserable.
No, I said we shouldn't say. Some people anxiously waiting. Some people just around us too. So we actually want to get that.
Oh, gosh.
I think we had like 4 approvals this morning. Every time I open, I was just, is this guys? Is this guys? Is this guy? No.
Yeah, because we together with them, we empathize, because some people are waiting to reunite with their family. And it could be some employers. I know one employer, they had to shut down the restaurant because their chef is not here. So these stories, they have other things more than just the visa attached to it.
Yeah.
So, and we also start to feel sorry for them and start feeling their pain. So it's a painful waiting process.
For certain, especially for small operations, it's a bit tough one, because regional locations, having
And the
employees.
visa is called skill in demand, which takes 6 to 8 months to process.
But there might be a high number of applications.
Of
They
course,
might
yeah.
have
I'm
other
sure they
reasons
have really
behind
good
it.
reasons, yeah.
Can employers sponsor directly without required experience? No. Yes.
Yes, under a labor agreement.
Yeah.
But as I said, don't think too much into it. It's best that you just look at your scenario and try to understand your requirement rather than trying to understand all the requirement, because it can be a bit confusing.
Because
Yeah.
we learned years and years to understand merging between
Yeah.
visas. Sometimes clients get confused when you say, "Oh, my friend get this one while doing this." Probably it's not the criteria for you.
That's right.
Maybe it is the same, but you just need to have some experience and education behind it to understand it. Maybe it'll be nice and easier for you to get someone to explain it to you rather than getting stuck
Yeah.
in between.
All right, thank you everyone for
It's been a wonderful session. You guys been
asking
very
all the
good
questions. We
questions.
really encourage to come live and ask these questions. It's completely free of charge. You don't even need to go anywhere. You can be from asking
It is
questions
so
from
complicated
home.
for us to get a
Um,
bit of time for us to just sit out from the seat and just come here to do this. But we believe it's a good exercise to educate you, so you know what to be expected when you apply for it. It saves money and resources for a lot of people, including the Department of Home Affairs, because if you put the invalid applications, if you submit the wrong application, it costs money, time, resources for everyone. So we want you to ask as many questions as possible during these sessions and demystify any doubts you might probably have, and then plan your proper strategy.
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't want to leave Milmore hanging, so let's have a
I have searched
quick
for
answer.
in disability support, currently taking a master's in data science, studying at CDU. Should
Charles
I
Darwin
wait
University.
to clear my master's or work with the certificate for? Depends what visa you are currently on. I guess if you're on a student visa, I would say finish your master's so you get a subclass 485 visa, which I think any applicant who would really need that graduate visa if they are eligible to transition. So if you can get a 485 studying masters, I would highly recommend you do so.
It's pity we didn't talk much about. Next time, I want to talk a little bit more about. A lot of people these days ask questions about New Zealand business visa.
Yes.
I actually want to talk about New Zealand business visa. Australia, everyone knows Australia's not inviting for business visas at the moment, and we want to. A lot of people want to probably start their journey in New Zealand and get their pathway into New Zealand to do their start their business and get their family migrated there. So it's actually a pretty straightforward and simple process if you're into business already, and if you have a bit of a capital background where you can invest. I guess I've been given instruction the session needs to be finished.
No, I will talk about New Zealand business visas in our next live session.
All right. Good luck to everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. God bless you all. Have a good weekend coming.